Most of us are running around trying way too hard. We want to look perfect, sound perfect, and achieve perfect results. We care about every little detail, every little flaw, and every little opinion that comes flying our way. And because of this, we end up stressed, burned out, and ironically achieving far less than we could. The truth is, the less you obsess over every damn thing, the more you can actually accomplish. It sounds counterintuitive. Care less, achieve more feels like some lazy slogan invented by people who want an excuse to nap through life. But it's not about apathy, it's about focus. It's about choosing what matters and letting go of the thousand things that don't. The problem isn't that you care, the problem is that you care about the wrong things. You care about whether your coworkers think you're smart. You care about how many likes your Instagram post gets. You care about not making mistakes, not embarrassing yourself, not looking stupid. And while you're so damn busy caring about all that, you don't actually get around to doing the important shit. You can't write the book because you're too worried about it not being a bestseller. You can't start the business because you're afraid your friends will laugh if it fails. You can't ask that person out because rejection feels like a personal apocalypse. All of this caring is weight. Heavy, useless weight, and when you drop it, you suddenly move faster, lighter, freer. Mark my words, most people who actually achieve big things aren't the ones obsessing over every minor detail. They're the ones who said screw it, did the work, failed a dozen times, and didn't give a damn about looking perfect while doing it. The guy who writes 5 crappy books eventually learns how to write a good one. The girl who gets turned down 20 times eventually finds someone worth her time. The entrepreneur who bombs with 3 businesses eventually stumbles into the one that works. That's not because they cared more than you. It's because they cared less about the stuff that didn't matter, which gave them the freedom to keep going. Perfectionism is basically fear dressed up in a nice suit. It pretends like you're striving for excellence, but really you're just terrified of screwing up. And so you polish and polish and polish until you never ship anything at all. Meanwhile, the person who doesn't give a shit about looking flawless is out there releasing their half-messy project into the world. And because of that, they're learning, growing, improving while you're stuck in your own head. Think about it. Every time you try to control everything, you end up controlling nothing. Life is unpredictable. Plans fall apart. People flake. Markets crash. Your health screws you over. People who thrive aren't the ones who cared enough to prevent every possible disaster. They're the ones who rolled with it when disaster came. They were flexible. They didn't cling too tightly. They let go of the illusion of control, and that gave them the power to adapt. That's the real meaning of care less. It's not laziness, it's resilience. Let me give you a picture. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with bricks. Every brick is something you care about. Your reputation, your image, your fear of failure, your parents' approval, your social media following, the judgment of strangers. Now imagine trying to run a marathon with that on your back. That's your life right now. You're wondering why you're exhausted all the time. You're wondering why your goals feel impossible. It's because you're carrying shit that doesn't belong to you. The moment you drop half of those bricks, you're lighter. You run faster. You achieve more because you're finally focused on the few bricks that actually matter. And here's the kicker. Caring less isn't something you achieve once and then you're done. It's a practice. Every day you're going to be tempted to care about meaningless crap. Every day your ego will whisper in your ear, what will they think of you? Every day fear will disguise itself as logic, convincing you not to take risks. And every day you have to practice saying, screw it, that doesn't matter, this does. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it's the only way to actually move forward. When you zoom out far enough, you realize how laughable most of your worries are. 100 years from now, nobody will care that you embarrassed yourself during a presentation. Nobody will care that your startup failed. Nobody will care that your first draft was garbage. Hell, even you won't care. The only thing you'll regret is wasting time worrying instead of doing, wasting time polishing instead of creating, wasting time caring about people who weren't even thinking about you in the first place. The irony of life is that success comes when you stop chasing it so desperately. Happiness comes when you stop trying to force it. Confidence comes when you stop giving a damn about how confident you look. You achieve more when you let go of the need to look like an achiever. You perform better when you're not strangled by the need to be perfect. You grow faster when you're not paralyzed by the fear of mistakes. So, care less, not about everything, not about the important things. Keep caring about the work itself. Keep caring about your values. Keep caring about the people who genuinely matter. But stop caring about the noise. Stop caring about the people who don't matter. Stop caring about perfection, about approval, about validation. Because once you free yourself from that, all that energy you wasted before suddenly becomes fuel for the things that actually push you forward. Maybe you'll look stupid sometimes. Maybe you'll fall flat on your face. Maybe people will laugh. So what? They'll forget about it by next week. But you'll have learned something, created something, moved one step closer. That's how you win in the long run, not by looking good every second, but by moving forward despite looking like a mess. That's the real secret. That's how you achieve more, not by caring more, but by caring less. The more you practice this, the more life opens up. When you stop tying yourself worth to every single outcome, you suddenly take more chances. You send that email you were overthinking. You post that messy idea online instead of waiting for it to be polished to death. You walk into opportunities that used to scare the hell out of you because you realize failure isn't the end of the world. It's just feedback. And that feedback is infinitely more valuable than sitting in your own head, paralyzed by what-ifs. Caring less gives you room to breathe. It gives you the mental space to focus on progress instead of appearances. Most people waste years trying to look successful instead of actually becoming successful. They spend money they don't have, chasing validation they don't need, to impress people they don't even like. It's a tragic comedy, but when you cut that cycle and start measuring yourself by your own standards instead of everyone else's scoreboard, you free yourself. That freedom isn't some vague motivational buzzword, it's practical. It's what allows you to put all your energy into the stuff that moves you forward. Think about every great breakthrough, every innovation, every creative leap. None of them came from someone who was desperately trying to please everyone around them. They came from people willing to risk looking foolish, willing to be misunderstood, willing to be judged. They cared less about fitting in and more about creating something that mattered. That's the difference between playing small and making an impact. And maybe that's the point we miss most of the time. Caring less doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means choosing better standards. It means deciding that progress matters more than perfection, that learning matters more than approval, that action matters more than appearances. It means asking yourself, if I stopped giving a damn about what doesn't matter, what could I do with all that energy? And the answer is usually a hell of a lot more than you're doing right now. Most of the stress people drag around like chains comes from this illusion that everything is life or death. Every mistake feels like the end, every failure feels permanent, every criticism feels personal. But when you zoom out, you see that almost nothing carries the weight you imagine. That job interview you bombed, no one remembers it except you. That person who rejected you, they're too busy living their own mess of a life to care. That time you embarrassed yourself in public, everyone else forgot within 5 minutes because they were too busy worrying about their own embarrassments. Yet we replay these moments in our heads like they define us, as if the world is taking notes on our every misstep. The truth is, no one is watching as closely as you think. No one is scoring your life in real time, and when you realize this, when it actually sinks in, you start to play differently. You take risks because you know the world won't collapse if you mess up. You experiment more because you know nobody really cares if you fail. You act faster because you're not paralyzed by the imaginary audience in your head. That's how progress actually happens. It doesn't happen by looking perfect. It happens by stumbling forward again and again until suddenly you're standing somewhere you never thought you'd reach. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop desperately trying to look like you've got it all together, people actually respect you more. Authenticity is magnetic. When you admit you don't know everything, people trust you. When you're willing to laugh at your own mistakes, people feel at ease around you. When you stop posturing, you free others to stop pretending too. Caring less about the image you project allows you to connect with people in a way that endless polishing never could. But the catch is that this isn't a one-time choice. You don't wake up one morning, declare "I care less now," and suddenly float through life unbothered. Every day you'll feel the pull to obsess again. Every day you'll be tempted to check how you measure up. Every day you'll feel the sting of comparison, and every day you'll have to remind yourself, that's not where my energy belongs. That discipline to choose what matters and let the rest slide is where the real power lies. You start to realize the game is not about doing more, it's about cutting more, cutting the dead weight, cutting the fake goals you picked up from other people, cutting the endless noise demanding your attention. What you're left with is a smaller set of priorities, but those priorities actually matter, and when you pour yourself into them, you find yourself moving forward faster than you ever did when you were scattering your attention across 1,000 pointless worries. And once you get a taste of that momentum, it's addictive in the best way possible. You stop needing every little piece of approval because the act of doing itself becomes the reward. You start trusting the process instead of obsessing over the outcome. You begin to understand that real progress is boring, unglamorous, and often invisible in the short term, and yet, while everyone else is spinning their wheels trying to look successful, you're quietly stacking wins because you're not burning all your energy on appearances. It's almost funny how predictable the pattern is. The people who care too much get paralyzed, overthink, and stall out. The people who care less move forward, screw up, learn, and get stronger. Multiply that cycle by a few years, and the difference is enormous. One person is still at the starting line, polishing their perfect plan, while the other has a trail of messy attempts that eventually led to something real. That's the invisible advantage of caring less. It compounds over time. Every failure you allow yourself to have without shame is a brick in the foundation of whatever you're building. And here's another layer most people miss. When you care less about what doesn't matter, you also care more deeply about what does. You have more space to actually show up for the people you love. You have more attention for the work that fulfills you. You have more energy to invest in the values that make your life meaningful. It's not about shutting off caring altogether, it's about getting ruthless with where you invest it. Caring less in one direction always means you're freeing yourself to care more in another, but that shift takes practice because the world is constantly screaming for your attention. Advertisements, notifications, opinions, judgments, everyone and everything is trying to convince you their thing should matter to you. If you don't filter aggressively, you'll drown in it, and drowning in noise is exactly how people end up burned out, bitter, and empty. Caring less is like building a mental shield. It's how you carve out enough space to actually think, create, and pursue what's worth pursuing. So when people hear the phrase care less, achieve more, they often mistake it for laziness. But laziness is when you avoid the hard things. Caring less is what lets you actually do the hard things, because you're no longer distracted by the easy, meaningless things. Laziness is procrastinating on what matters. Caring less is ignoring what doesn't. One drags you backward, the other pushes you forward. And once you see the difference, you start spotting all the places in your life where you've been wasting energy on things that don't deserve a drop of your time. Stop drowning in the bullshit. Stop giving away your attention like it's free candy. Stop living your life as if every opinion, every glance, every possible failure is the end of the world, because it's not. The real progress, the kind that matters, the kind that changes your life, only comes when you drop the dead weight. Care less about being perfect, care less about what they'll say, care less about fitting some polished image, and suddenly you've got the freedom to actually build something worth a damn. At the end of the day, the people who achieve the most aren't the ones who cared about everything. They're the ones who cared about the right things, and had the guts to let the rest burn. That's where your power is. That's where your success is. Care less, so you can finally achieve more.